Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi. I'm Heather Francis, and welcome to another episode of Midlife Moves. Okay, this episode is one that I was excited to record for a lot of reasons. You guys know that I'm excited to record all of them, but this one we're talking about brain health. We're going to talk about brain health in a way that actually makes sense, I think. If you've ever felt like you're more forgetful, overwhelmed, foggy, like your brain just isn't working the same way you're used to, you're not alone. We've talked to, specialists about perimenopause and how that affects the brain. And today I'm talking with Roy Krebs. He is the founder of Natural Stacks. We really get into what's going on behind the scenes, especially for women in our phase of life. Just so you know, I do have an affiliate relationship with Natural Stacks. I personally use their magnesium, and it works really well for me. They use third-party testing, which I really like. It's just a product that I believe in, so I have an affiliate relationship with them, which is how this conversation came about. But this episode isn't about selling you anything. It's just a really good conversation that I think will help you understand your brain and magnesium a little bit better. Of course, if at the end you do want to explore their products, there is a link in the show notes. Let's get into it. Hey listeners, it's Heather here with a quick message before we get into the rest of the episode. I have been blown away by the level of support from you guys. I love seeing how much the topics resonate with all of you and hearing how the episodes make you feel seen. I genuinely appreciate the outpouring of support from everyone. If you've been enjoying the show, there are a few ways you can continue to support the podcast and the team behind it. If you aren't already, follow us on Instagram at the Midlife Moves Podcast. For more behind-the-scenes info on the show and our guests, check out our website, midlifemoves.co. Reviews go a long way. I'd really appreciate a rating and a review on the podcast platform of your choice. And finally, check out the merch store. It's a fantastic way to rep the podcast and help support the team that makes these episodes possible. We've got some great designs for t-shirts and totes available there. Thank you all again so much, and enjoy the rest of the episode. I am here today with Roy Krebs, who is the owner and founder of Natural Stacks, which happens to be the magnesium brand that I'm currently using with a good success. So thank you for joining me today, Roy.
Thank you, Heather. Happy to be here. Cheers.
So we'll just jump into it. So your journey into magnesium and into supplements and into brain health, but it was from personal experience. So we'll just get a little bit into let's talk a little bit about your background.
Yeah,
and what
sure.
led you into this?
So I had done martial arts my entire life. My parents got me into it when I was 5. And it was defensive martial arts, but there definitely was a few times where I hit my head a lot or hit the mat really hard. But then I got into football in high school and ended up playing in college 4 years. It was a D3 level, so it wasn't like super crazy, but definitely competitive for my size and speed. And I played defensive end, and I just hit my head a lot over and over again. I had kind of several, I'd say, minor concussions, but just like the micro concussions of hitting your head over and over again. And one of my moves was the headbutt, try to headbutt them, get them off balance, and then get around them. And I had an awesome experience playing football, and I have a son, and I would like if you played football too. I'm not debilitated, but I did notice several years after graduating college that my brain wasn't working great. I was just like I noticed that what I noticed the most is just my reading was delayed, and I had a hard time remembering what I had just read in like a couple previous pages. And it wasn't normal for me. And I was having to flip back in this book kind of over and over again. I'm like, what's going on? More brain fog. And I had taken supplements for my body my whole life for recovery, for muscle, but it never kind of dawned on me that I could take supplements for my brain health. And I I just realized this, and I immediately started just researching all that, the ways these supplements work in your brain, and trying to figure out which was going to be the right fit for me. Which supplement should I try? And I just tried them all, and I didn't get the effect I was looking for, really. And so I was just doing more research, and I'm like, I learned about these neurotransmitters and what impacts these neurotransmitters, and then the levels of these neurotransmitters, how does it impact your cognition? And really, as I'm getting deep into this research, then I get the call that my grandfather diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia, and his degradations happened super quickly. And so that's when it really hit me, is I'm already worried about my own brain. I'm a young 20-something-year-old. It shouldn't be normal. And then I see that this is a potential family trait of dementia and Alzheimer's, and then just watching my grandfather deal with that. Obviously very hard if you have someone in your family, they forget your name and who you are. And that's just, that really just set me on this path to, now it's really the mission for my life is to create better brain supplements and to help people improve their own mental health and their brain health. So yeah, it was kind of over years and kind of a tsunami of events that just really pushed me in this direction. So yeah, our approach at Natural Stacks has just been more targeted supplements, more personalized, trying to figure out how we can better help people rather than kind of a one-size-fits-all approach, really understanding that people have different cognitive needs.
Yeah, so because you and I had talked before, and you initially didn't start in the magnesium field. Like your first product was a brain boost, wasn't it? It was, I wish I could remember what it was called.
Yeah, it's now called NeuroFuel, and it was a very unique patented formula that targeted something called long-term potentiation in the brain. This was a total novel formula. No one had come up. Well, someone had developed this formula, but it was only in like the biohacker. You had to like get a milligram scale. It was really hard to dose out. And so I talked with the formulator and got on part of the team, and we're able to release this to market. And that created a lot of excitement. It's this new nootropic that people were getting immediate effects from. And now I think our magnesium was just our second or third product, and saw that as just a big need, is more of a brain-focused magnesium with super absorbable forms. But yeah, we started with this nootropic called NeuroFuel, and then started getting into these neurotransmitter specific formulas, which are really interesting, like a formula just to support dopamine, a formula just to support acetylcholine, one for serotonin, one for GABA. And these are the four main neurotransmitters in the brain that really pull the strings on how you feel mentally at any given time. So yeah.
So I love listening to this stuff because this is like a second language to me. This is like a fifth language to me. Like I don't understand any of it. But brain health, as you and I have talked about, like I have someone in my life currently with dementia, and I have a step parent who passed away from dementia, and I have a brain injury. So like the brain health aspect is critically important, because you just don't realize how sensitive all of it is. And until you're faced with these situations where you're diminished.
Yeah, and even just like a 5% worse mood or a 5% worse memory can have dramatic impacts in your life. So even the smallest changes in cognition and mental health lead to just this cascade of events. Your brain controls everything. So a lot of people think about their muscles and their skincare more than they think about what's going on in their brain. And you got to get that right first, because it just controls everything.
We'll move into, because the audience is primarily women in my age, like in our 40s. And so we're dealing with perimenopause, and part of that is brain fog. And people are noticing that their brain isn't working the same way, the things that you're saying, like memory slips, anxiety, brain fog, overwhelm. From your perspective, like understanding the hormonal aspect and everything, what is happening during this phase?
Yeah. There's a very distinct and interesting relationship between estrogen and acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter in your brain that's responsible for short-term memory, multitasking, clarity, basically mental processing speed. How fast is your brain working? How well are you retaining those memories? verbal fluency, the stuff that requires short-term memory is all related to acetylcholine. And acetylcholine, so back to estrogen. Estrogen is kind of this master regulator that helps your body and your brain regulate the amount of neurotransmitters you have floating around in your brain. You can imagine your brain, really simplified, there's neurons, there's brain cells, and in between these brain cells are the neurotransmitters, but also hormones. And so like a synapse is when a neurotransmitter is getting absorbed into that brain cell. And when you have plenty of estrogen, that's happening very normally, and it supports that process. The estrogen helps those neurotransmitters get into the brain cell. When you become low in estrogen, which happens during menopause, then your body loses the ability to produce as much acetylcholine. It also impacts the other neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin, but it impacts acetylcholine the most. Acetylcholine, again, is that memory, cognition, processing speed, clarity. Dopamine is like motivation, drive, and serotonin is mood and stress relief. So those are impacted a little bit too, but it's really the acetylcholine, and that's where you can have, during perimenopause, you kind of have these fluctuations of estrogen, and that directly causes these fluctuations in acetylcholine, which impacts your cognition and mental health. So for me, my world just opened up once I began to understand the brain and mental health in terms of the four neurotransmitters. And so there's this really strong relationship, like I said, estrogen and acetylcholine. There's another strong relationship between testosterone and dopamine. So the same thing happens with men past 40. Their testosterone diminishes, and that diminishes their dopamine, which they're procrastinate more, less motivation, less drive. So that's the stronger relationship on the male side. And then the female side is just estrogen and acetylcholine. So it's for me, it's like not a mystery. It's like, wow, that's a really direct cause, and you could do things to support your acetylcholine when you're going through that.
What kind of things would you do?
Yeah, so you want to get enough of the nutrients your brain uses to create acetylcholine. And so like the easiest one is like eggs, right? Like eggs have a lot of choline in them. You want to make sure you're eating the yolk, not just the white. But then like alpha GCP, acetyl L-carnitine. These are amino acids you can buy as supplements. They're found in meat, cheese, and nuts. So you want to make sure you're getting enough of that in your diet. But you can supplement with these amino acids. And then there's cofactors, like you want to make sure you get enough B vitamins to help the absorption of those aminos. I always tell people this is like, you got to be introspective. Like okay, your brain's not working right. What about your brain is not working right? Is it brain fog? Is it clarity, short-term memory? Because that's acetylcholine. Is it motivation, drive, procrastination? That's dopamine. Is it mood, stress relief? That is really serotonin related. And then maybe it's anxiety and anxiousness, and you're not able to relax. And that's more of a GABA neurotransmitter. And they fluctuate. So like most people find themselves in a lower amount of one of these neurotransmitters. And for women experiencing perimenopause, it's typically acetylcholine. But you can also struggle with some of these other neurotransmitters as well. And nothing's wrong with you, right? You're just maybe not getting the right nutrients in your diet, or you're experiencing these hormonal changes.
I was about to say, what if it's all of them?
And yeah, everyone experiences the feeling of being low in these neurotransmitters. These are all very common things, but you don't want to be feeling these things every day or on a regular basis. Then you might have a problem with one of those neurotransmitters you want to address. If it's a flighting feeling that just one afternoon you're feeling stressed out, the next afternoon you're not, that's fine. But if you have this compounding, like every day you're feeling this, then you probably have something imbalance in your brain.
What do you do to take, like, like brain health is very important to you personally. What do you, outside of the diet and things we just talked about, is there anything that you do? Like, do you meditate? What do you do to take care of your brain? I'm horrible at meditation. I did try this morning. I turned on a 10-minute meditation and I got 6 minutes into it. And I was like, stop.
I'm not a great meditator either. I used to force myself by putting myself in one of those sensory deprivation float tanks.
Did you really?
And
I thought about it.
It really helps because it kind of flips you into that meditative state without having to just try so hard to force you. stuck in this tank and you're meditating. I haven't done that in a while, but very beneficial. For me, I've noticed and I found that I am generally well stocked in serotonin. I'm a serotonin dominant person. I'm pretty happy. I don't get stressed out very much, but I am generally kind of low in dopamine. And that's the neurotransmitter that I've identified that I need the most help with.
Yeah.
That's motivation, drive, balance, coordination. It also impacted by dopamine, mental energy, libido, and so I supplement with dopamine precursors almost every day, and it has really made an impact.
Yeah,
I feel a huge difference.
That's very cool that you're so in touch with all of that. But you've been doing it for a long time. Like you've learned all of this. I just think it's very cool when people are so in touch with themselves, with any aspect of their body, that they just like are able to identify what's lacking. I just love that. I think that that's fantastic. It's very cool.
And you got to be interested. There's of course like lab tests and things you can take, but it for me the biggest thing is just being introspective and going back almost every couple hours during the day and thinking, stop what I'm doing. How do I feel? And what have I done in the last hour? Am I procrastinating? Am I happy? Am I productive? And if I can just every couple hours to just like stop and actually, you get caught up doing a bunch of stuff, but if you actually think, how am I doing?
Yeah.
And that really helps me understand what's going on in my brain and how I can help myself.
But also, I think the way we treat brain health in general, and this is kind of a side tangent, but is flawed, because not all of us can do an 8-hour workday. Like that doesn't. Not all of us can complete that, and sometimes we like it having that broken up. Like there's different tools that we can use to help support our brain and our mental energy and all of those things.
Oh, for sure. Humans can't focus for more than 20 minutes. It really is impossible to sit down for 8 hours and be productive during all that time. And what I've done is trying to work on projects that my brain kind of want to work on at that time. So I'll look at my day and I'm like, all right, I gotta do this research project. I gotta write a bunch of these longer emails, and I have to do this podcast interview. So if I can, I try to like in the morning, I'll do kind of the busier work, maybe the emails. My dopamine is more firing at that point. Maybe midday, I want to do my my podcast interview when my cognition is strong, my acetylcholine levels are good. If it's something that requires more like creativity or more like just analysis and kind of thought, like a research project, I'll do that in the afternoon, where I kind of have the to-do stuff taken off. And for me, it's like I kind of think about when my brain wants to do those tasks versus kind of forcing myself in these windows to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that my most productive time is early in the morning. Anything that is going to require a lot of cognitive energy has to happen early. That's my best time. And I just know that about, or at like the very end of the day, like 6 or 7 o'clock, like after dinner, when I'm wrapping up, when I should be getting ready for bed, all of a sudden my brain's like, oh, we're going to fire now.
If you can change your day to how your brain wants to work, and maybe you're taking a nap in the afternoon, and that's fine. But
do you nap? I wake up early, so you don't nap. You can't nap. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I take a nap at like 11 o'clock, 11:30. We'll go back to magnesium.
Yeah.
So magnesium comes up all the time. We hear about it in terms of anxiety, sleep, nervous system regulation. But there's so many types, and it's very, very confusing. Why is magnesium so foundational, and why do so many people seem to need to use it?
If you're going to choose just one supplement to take, I would say magnesium. And it's because magnesium is responsible for almost every biomechanical process in your body. Your heart needs magnesium to beat. Your brain needs magnesium to produce serotonin and produce melatonin, which leads to sleep. It regulates stress. And so it's just vitally important. And most people are deficient. And there's like the World Health Organization found that 75% of Americans are not getting enough magnesium in their diet. There's another study that was like half of American adults are deficient in magnesium, and it's something like 70 or 80% of elderly adults are deficient in magnesium. This is in America. You get magnesium from green leafy vegetables. Most people don't eat enough of those. Even if you do, the soils are depleted, and the mineral contents in vegetables are not what they used to be. And then also, there's just a lot of things assaulting your magnesium levels at any given time. If you consume caffeine, it depletes magnesium a lot faster. If you can consume alcohol, it depletes your magnesium levels a lot faster. If you work out, you're depleting your magnesium levels a lot faster. You need it for recovery. If you're taking any sort of pharmaceutical medications that inhibits absorption of magnesium, if you're experiencing menopause, that disrupts your absorption of magnesium, and you need to intake more magnesium. So like most people are deficient, and especially when you consider all these other factors that deplete magnesium faster, a vast majority of people are not getting enough. And if you're not getting enough magnesium, it leads to the side effects are kind of small, but they get bigger with time. The smaller ones will be just like mood. Your mood will be whacked out. Your stress will be higher. Your sleep will be impacted. Your recovery after working out or anything will be slower. If the deficiency gets a little worse, muscle cramps, jaw clenching, twitching. If it gets worse, then it's heart disease. There was this Dr. Wang, 2016 big study, and this guy concluded that for every extra 100 milligrams of magnesium that you consume per day, you lower your risk of heart failure by 22%.
By how much?
22%. And that's the most severe, you're low in magnesium for years on end as it starts to impact your heart. So it's the biggest things that people feel are mood, stress, sleep, and also cognition. It impacts with memory. So yeah, it's just like, it's really the most important mineral and nutrient that most people just can't get enough in their diet. So that's why it's so important. I'm super passionate about magnesium. We have a magnesium supplement that's these 3 kind of specialty forms of magnesium. That's what you referenced. There's a bunch of forms of magnesium. So it's
so many forms of magnesium.
They're getting the right one, and that's complicated as well. But yeah, and if you're experiencing perimenopause or menopause, then the estrogen helps minerals. All minerals get absorbed, also calcium. So when you're low in the estrogen, you're not even if you're consuming a good amount, you're not able to absorb as much. So that you need to increase your dietary amount. And the symptoms of menopause, like poor sleep, hot flashes, mood, cognition, all those things can basically be addressed with magnesium, because magnesium targets those specifically. And if you're experiencing that, and then your estrogens are also levels are low, it's just it's a cycle that gets worse. So our type of magnesium that we have, it's called MagTech magnesium, and it's formulated with 3 different kinds. We have Magtene magnesium L-threonate, which has studies on memory and cognition, and we have magnesium glycinate, which is magnesium that's bound to glycine, and that's great for sleep and relaxation. And then we have magnesium taurate, which is magnesium that's bound to taurine, and that actually helps with thermoregulation. So, and also brain health. So it's kind of this 1, 2, 3 punch of very absorbable forms of magnesium that actually fit the symptoms of menopause almost perfectly. So I didn't design it for menopause. We designed it for brain health and better absorption and sleep. But then just really this last couple of years, I've been noticing that, wow, we get these testimonials, and I'm looking at these 3 different forms, and it's like, wow, this actually does help with hot flashes as well. This is really a great magnesium for that. So yeah, I'm rambling a bit, but the different forms of magnesium, you want to stay away from mag oxide. That is really poorly absorbed, only like 9% or something, and it causes loose stools because it doesn't get absorbed. It kind of goes right through you. It's the cheapest form. It's the most common form, but you want to avoid that. You want to take a magnesium that ends in an ATE. So magnesium oxide that ends in an IDE, and that's not good. So if you take a magnesium that ends in an ATE, that means it's been chelated or chelated, where they bound the magnesium molecule to an amino acid. And your body orally is pretty poor at absorbing all minerals. But if you can combine it to an amino acid, your body is really good at absorbing aminos. That's what all your food groups are made out of. So if you can like combine magnesium with glycine, that creates magnesium glycinate, is you kind of piggyback that glycine, which is really easily absorbed. You get the high absorption of the magnesium, but you also get this benefit of the glycine as well, which is kind of this added benefit, which is great for increasing GABA in the brain for calmness and relaxation and sleep. So yeah, if it ends in an ATE, it's generally pretty well absorbed. So that's the easiest tip I can give. But yeah, it is confusing. You go into a store and there's 20 different kinds of magnesium and really vast differences in price as well. So yeah, you just want to find something that ends in an ATE. It's going to be better absorbed. The magnesium citrate, that ends in an ATE, but that's magnesium bound to citric acid. And it's decently absorbed. I think it's not bad. But you're going to get much better absorption rates once you get to this magnesium glycinate, magnesium taurate, magnesium threonate, magnesium malate, magnesium orotate. Those are kind of the premier forms of magnesium.
It is interesting. Even in my medicine cabinet, my husband likes his supplements, and he has ordered and tried many of them. And we have a whole lot of bottles of magnesium, different kinds, that have been tried over the years and just left abandoned because we just didn't see any benefit to them. There was like no noticeable difference in anything for either one of us with some of them. How does one know if it's actually benefiting them? Like some of them are going to be easy, like eventually, like I know for me, like I my head is always racing. Like I'm always, always thinking, overthinking. So I did notice that my thoughts are calmer and I'm able to like get myself into a calmer state to go to bed. Like that was just like the first thing I noticed when, like I realized something was working. But what are other things that people can be looking at to know that the product that they're taking is working?
The biggest thing we see people talking about is sleep. And people that they normally wake up twice in the middle of the night to go pee or something, and now they're not waking up in the middle of the night. And so that's like the sleep benefit is something that people definitely notice and feel the most. And we get that a ton with our magnesium, because if you're not getting enough magnesium in your diet, your sleep is poor. So because magnesium is a cofactor to your body producing melatonin. So if you're not getting enough magnesium, your body's not naturally producing enough melatonin. So that's the biggest benefit we hear. And people are like, wow, this works because I'm actually sleeping every night. I'm not waking up. Or yeah, like you said, I'm able to fall asleep faster. That's the two things: fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Mm-hmm. And some people, it impacts those differently, but sleep, but then also stress and mood, I think are the two other things that people can realize. Changes in memory are a little harder for your brain to realize. But changes in mood and sleep, I think people can pinpoint. Sleep the most. If they're introspective person, then they can notice the stress and mood quicker as well. But also, like, a lot of people are really not getting enough magnesium, and their like muscles are cramping, and they get jaw clenching, and some random twitching. And it's like, if you're getting enough magnesium, all that stuff will just stop, and your body's more calm, and so people notice that as well.
I will say, if I have a glass of wine, it doesn't matter how much magnesium I take, my sleep's going to be shit.
Yeah, alcohol impacts sleep for sure. It increases your blood pressure because your blood is more thin, and your heart has to beat a little harder, and your heart's beating faster. It's hard to relax and sleep. Yeah, and also when you consume alcohol, your magnesium gets depleted more as well.
As soon as you said that, I was like, well, there goes that glass of wine. I'm not this like zero alcohol guy. I think a glass of wine is actually kind of beneficial in a lot of ways. It's just once you get up to three glasses or more, then you start to. But yeah, some people are definitely more sensitive to alcohol as well, and certain wines have histamines, and there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I will say when we traveled to Rome over in the fall I had a daughter that was studying there, and the wine there, no problems, could sleep great. Like it didn't affect anything. I came home and it's just a different product. That's a different conversation. But anyway, let's talk about the third party testing. Can you tell me a little bit about, because you and I talked about this when we talked before, and I didn't really understand what it meant, but then like it's important.
The dietary supplement industry, everyone's like, oh, it's not regulated. It is regulated, and it kind of falls in between a food and a drug. Is the FDA's stance. It's, these are food-based ingredients, but it's not a food and it's also not a drug. So it is regulated. The manufacturers are kind of the most regulated, and also the brand, but all the liability falls on the brand owner. Now, the problem I see is that even if a brand owner is a great person and very conscious and wants to put out the most perfect product, they're relying on their co-packer, on the manufacturer. And most people just have way too much trust in the manufacturer. The manufacturer, of course, is on your team, but they're incentivized to source cheaper ingredients. They get higher margin.
Mm.
They have to do certain tests on input and finished product testing, but a lot of times the manufacturers skimp on those, or they'll do like a skip lot system where they'll test, say it's 6 actives in a product, they'll test 2 actives, one batch, and the next active they'll test another 2 actives on different, and that passes their quality program. But it becomes this kind of, you're putting a lot of trust in the manufacturer, and ingredients also degrade with time, certain ingredients and the interactions between those ingredients. A lot of people don't have a good understanding of that. And so, I noticed this, and especially things like minerals are labeled wrong a lot of times. I don't want to scare your audience, but I'm pretty confident in saying that more than half of the dietary supplements on the market do not meet label claim. And by that, I mean, if the supplement's fact says it has 200 milligrams of magnesium, I don't think it has a full 200 milligrams of magnesium. And a lot of the people selling the supplements don't even know. They've never tested this stuff for themselves. And just early on when I started this company, I wasn't comfortable with what was going on, and I wanted more control. So we test every single active in every single batch from a third party after the product is produced. So post-production gets in our warehouse, we send it off to the lab, and we have to wait for 2 weeks before we even sell it because we want to make sure it passes that third party test. And we post those tests on our website for consumers to see. But yeah, we're not testing 1 or 2 actives. We're testing every single active. We're doing it every batch. And it's just super important. You should ask manufacturers for their COAs at least, certificates of authenticity. Those can be faked, whatever. But like, it's weird how supplement companies are kind of guarded on their quality program, and it's that should be something you put front and center. So yeah, it's from a consumer's perspective, you just have to go with a reputable brand. You want a brand that's been around for a while. A bigger brand has kind of gone through more scrutiny. They've gone through more like liability things. So if you can just get an established, well-known brand and make sure you're buying it from them, it's not counterfeit, whatever.
Have you seen that on Amazon?
Oh yeah, we've
commingle stuff?
Not on Amazon, and for us, like we're in the transparency program on Amazon, so that solves for that. But on Walmart.com and on eBay,
that's what it was. It was Walmart.
Yeah, and we've seen counterfeit of our products, very similar label, different. We don't even know what's inside. We tested it at 0 magnesium. So don't buy supplements from Walmart.com or eBay. Their quality is bad, and they don't have a way to really enforce that. We're able to get a lot of those listings taken down once we show them the test and say, hey, this is not our product. But then another one pops up. Amazon is getting better with quality. But yeah, it's tricky. And another thing is, like, I want to make sure the actual ingredients are quality and they're consistent. So, we disclose who all of our ingredient suppliers are, and you should ask your brand too, whoever you buy your supplements, where'd you get that ingredient from? Especially if it's a botanical. Botanicals are adulterated a lot. I mean, I saw the news that like grapeseed extract, they were using some in China, they had some peanut extract that like flipped the lab test to show it was grapeseed extract, and they're selling it as grapeseed. There's a lot of botanicals are like curcumin, rhodiola. There's adulterated, and a lot of them can be fake. And they find a way to kind of trip the lab test, but it's not actually it. So you want to make sure, especially botanicals, the sourcing is really solid. Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned yet while you and I were talking, but I do have an affiliate agreement with Natural Stacks to my listeners. So before I agreed to do anything, I read all of their reviews, and I knew that they were legit when people were like, I bought supplements through Walmart.com and I know it wasn't yours because it didn't help me the way it always helps me. And I think they said something about the label. There was something weird about the label. And that's where I saw it, because I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And because these people noticed the difference. Like, so like they noticed that it wasn't helping them the same way. Like these people picked up on it. I thought that was incredible.
I'm proud to say that most of our products you feel on the first dose. It's not something you take for a week or a month. And we formulated it in that way. We want people to know they're feeling it. And it's just, if you can get the right synergy and the right ingredients, the quality ingredients that are actually absorbed, you should be able to feel what you're taking.
So my last question, and then I'll let you get on with your day. If somebody feels like they have lost their edge mentally, or they don't feel like themselves anymore, what are the first things you would look at before even talking about supplements? So like if you're thinking about like a whole body approach, what would you look at?
Sleep is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also exercise. Like most people don't exercise at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't move your body, then you're not going to sleep as well either. So the biggest thing is just try to optimize for sleep, and you can't half-ass it. You got to stop watching TV. You got to turn down the lights. You got to put the phone down. You got to have a dark room. Put a sound machine if you have to, block out some street noise or whatever it is. You got to optimize your space for sleep, and so darkness really helps. Get some blackout shades. Make sure you have some good air circulation going through your room. You got to be able to breathe. But most people know all this stuff. Yeah, they should be sleeping better, but no, people don't like actually take the steps. Putting the phone down, putting on TV, turn the lights down, go to sleep a little earlier. Don't snack right before bed. Like people know this stuff, but it's hard to put in practice. If you can actually put it in practice for like a week, I think people will see a dramatic impact in their sleep. And sleep impacts everything. So if you can fix your sleep, your brain's gonna be working better. You're gonna feel more rested. You're gonna have more energy. Your mood's gonna be better. So just try to sleep more. And if you can exercise a little bit, that's gonna help your sleep and everything else as well.
And when you say exercise, I assume it doesn't mean like you don't have to go lift weights for 2 hours. Like you could go for a walk, right? You just just move your body. Yeah,
go for a walk is fine. And if you're getting just some movement, then you'll feel better mentally, but also you'll sleep better. I don't want people just to, my brain's not great. Let me just grab a crutch, right? Let me just grab a supplement. It's like, you should try to fix your diet, your sleep, your environment, big things first. And then supplements going to help you get over the edge and to help you push your brain into a little farther along, and can become great tools in your tool belt. But you shouldn't have to just rely on a dietary supplement. You should make sure that your foundation is great as well.
How many hours a night do you sleep?
I sleep about 7.
Okay. So you're not like superhuman and you don't get like 10 hours a night or like.
No. And I have a 2-year-old. I got a puppy. I'm feeling good on 7 hours.
On a good night, I get like 7 hours. That's a good night for me.
I have started going to bed earlier and waking up a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And that's helped a lot. Like when I stay up late, even if I'm sleeping in, it just doesn't work as well. So if I can be consistent with like trying to get to bed earlier, then I think that has the biggest impact.
Yeah. I agree with that. But early for me is like 7:30. I was in bed at 7:30 last night because I'm 45 and I have a cold and that's what I want to do. And I don't have a 2-year-old anymore. So This was fascinating, and I love talking about brain health with you, and I love talking about magnesium with you, and I'm so glad you came on my show.
I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I know we do have an affiliate deal. I'd love for your fans to get a discount and try the products for themselves if they need it, right? Try to fix the environment first.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's other things that they could do. So we'll make sure. Oh, if people want to find you, how can they find you?
Naturalstacks.com. And you can also email me directly, roy@naturalstacks.com.
Oh, that is brave of you.
Oh, bring it on.
I have very kind listeners. I will say, I love hearing. I hear wonderful things from my listeners. So I'm sure if you get anything, it'll be.
I love it. I love getting emails, just questions about your own mental health, how I can help, if you've tried things and they haven't worked, anything can help. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but I've been in the dietary supplement field for a while now and have just a good understanding of how these things work.
Yeah. Any links will also be in the show notes. And Roy, thanks so much.
Thank you. Real pleasure.
That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.